Story 16, and in this one we shall go shirtless. Those of you who go back far enough know that I've worn many shirts, but like many of you, I've lost many shirts, and I've lost my shirts over the years. But that's actually not the point, part of the point, so let's get to the point. 16. 16, the episode, my story, I struggled to get beyond and into 2007, and I even struggled to get in my story, so let's get back into the bigger story of the next big things. I mentioned them before, a confluence of convergence and a new kind of money, and I've struggled because, well, which came first? The future of money or a confluence of convergence? When the future of money requires the confluence of convergence and vice versa. So these are like two big things in tangent, and actually they can't really be achieved without achieving big thing 19. And big thing 19 is really justice and peace on earth. And like, okay, well, how do you get to justice and peace on earth? Big thing 19? You need 16 and 17. And I guess 17, okay, which is which? Okay, so we know from just parsing the numbers apart, we know that 1 was monopoly, and 6 was engine, 7 was the power and the light, and, well, is 16 the future of money, or like the monopoly of an engine, or like the monopoly of a power and a light? And I'll let you guys decide that, because it really doesn't matter which is which. But right now, I've been talking about this confluence and convergence in a reality world where our entire universe becomes a movie. Now, how can we afford to put everybody in the movie, retire people all over the planet out, when we're going bankrupt? And that's actually the point of the story today. Okay, in the debates, there's discussions, especially around the auto industry, and of how we went through bankruptcy there, and I don't even want to get into that argument one way or another, but there was this discussion of a managed bankruptcy, if you'd let it go under, it would have been under. You have to agree to that. I think I heard somewhere in the debates, hey, let the private capital go do it with government guarantees. But that's the worst of both worlds. That says, let the fat cats get the profits and the government guarantee it if they screw it up. And that's not right. And, well, we aren't going to get there from there with government doing this kind of thing. So how do we get there from there? And that, as you've known if you listen to the other parts of the story, is we must disintermediate and eliminate governments as we know them and turn them into a global enterprise. Now, we've talked about the future of money, but it's also the future of how we manage our global assets together and how we merge our interests together. Instead of China and India and their interest and American interest, what if China and India and all the interest had a cut in the American interest, and we have a cut in their interest, and all of a sudden we have a mutual self-interest in global economic prosperity and growth. And there was a point in the speech last night where there was a discussion of putting capital into the Middle East. Absolutely. Put it in home everywhere across the world. But why not put massive amounts of capital into the Middle East to create peace? Bring back the tourism. In fact, see, that's part of the thing. Part of the plan of retire the Europeans, retire the Americans out with a restructured bankruptcy of the entire planet. You see, if you actually, you could watch it crash. You know, we could be in an October scenario here. You could see your markets crash easily. Your equity markets, your bond markets. You could wait for the crash before you buy yourself out. And ultimately, that may be what it takes you to do it. But ultimately, we're just dealing in the funny money. All it is if we bought and merged all our interest at a premium, whatever bond you have, whatever stock you have, we'll take it in, whether it's from a nation or an enterprise, and we'll convert it into stock and the currency of, well, the new enterprise of the people of Earth, what I call WeThePeopleOfEarth.biz. Now, how do you do that? What is the value of these pieces of paper? Actually, what is the value of my blood in a napkin? Actually, that's just disgusting. It just happened to be my back is bleeding. That's why I have my shirt off. But the point is, and it's not from carrying the world on my shoulder like Atlas. I lost my words long ago. But anyway, so the point is this. We're back to the point. Okay, so how do you do a global, managed restructuring of the world? Basically, it's a leveraged buyout of the entire planet, but you have to do it together. Now, in the scenario that I had, actually, it would be perfectly legal in my mind if we, well, let's call those Atlas angels we described. Well, I announced to Fidelity they were private, they were worth $1 billion. Hey, if we bought Fidelity, then Fidelity could go off a secret office to JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. And, well, while they got those secret offers, they could accept secret offers without telling their shareholders. They took a secret offer, and part of the offer was to become the investment banker for, well, for what? For the acquisition of the entire planet Earth. Now, what would be the fee on the acquisition of the entire planet Earth? It would be like humongous. So that's why we must buy out the investment bankers before we use them to buy out the world. And so what do? Well, this is a massive, complex transaction. Ultimately, we're buying out the national banks. We're buying out the banks. See, I mean, we could take them out with our new currency, but why take them out? Because we don't want to begin like peace on earth, with a war against people or a war against capital. We need to restructure the capital of the planet. Like, okay, if we were just trading right now, then it would like be cheating and almost unfair. Let's say that there was a market for the enterprises in Iran. And Iran, I heard last night, the currency dropped by 80%. What a value. We could come in, give them double, and with the currency valuation and everything, we've got a huge discount in all those Iranian enterprises. And if all of a sudden we announce peace on earth and that everybody is going to say we're all working for the same side together, what would the value of all enterprise on earth be? And that's the really interesting thing. And so, but you can't get there from there without getting there from that. Or how do you get to the point where you can achieve the peace on earth? And that's where you must merge your interest. And with a common bank, and with a common equity structure, and with an enterprise structure where we unleash enterprises, but in sort of a virtuous larger enterprise of us. And I can't even imagine how to describe all the details of such a global enterprise, because it would require a lot of very, very smart heads, smarter heads than mine, to put them together to achieve it. But imagining its achievement is quite simple, and actually imagining how it's done is relatively simple. For example, okay, just to say, let's say the moves I described many years ago were just moves that were moved. And so the thing was, many years ago, I offered on behalf of the people of Earth, which of course would be done by our people, which would be us. So it's like, well, it's not them against us, ultimately it's us against us, which is us. And so, who's against who? No, in the future, 19, that's the next big thing of peace on earth. There's nobody against nobody. And how many of you have a 19 in the front of your birth year? How many? Ask yourself, were you born in 19 something? And is there something interesting about the fact that there's a 19 encoded all over the Quran? Let's not even talk about the Bible quotes. There's a 19 encoded in the Quran. Just food for thought. Anyway, here's the point. The point is this. We're building a new global bank, and we want assets. So imagine if all of the nations of Earth who had oil reserves said, okay, I'll trade my oil reserves in for shares in this new future of Earth. Now, and also to back our bank. And imagine we decided to turn in. See, I offered to buy your oil all over off the planet years ago when it was like 60 a share. It's like we had it a share for a long time. We pay a massive premium, 50%, whatever. Okay, buy it all, put it in the reserve, and then if the price of oil goes up, we make money. Okay, see, that's the whole plan, because in an expansionary global economy, we are going to expand the value of everything. And if we can capture the value of everything back into our bank for the behalf of the people, we can create a flowing pyramid with wealth from the bottom to the top, with a throwing top. See, as you create a larger bottom of a pyramid, the available top of the pyramid gets much larger.
That was easy.
It's very, very simple. See, and it's not about these pieces of paper. It's how we use, well, how we distribute value, how we invest in housing and healthcare, how we invest in infrastructure for everything, for human life, for knowledge, for understanding. But why not invest in cultural things? Why not go back to where you could go, to the Holy Lands? Imagine the tourism if the Holy Lands were peace. Imagine. But anyway, let's not get distracted. The point is, we're in the same boat together. Now, if we have the same boat, and we have the same global currency, see, this is the thing. We take the opportunity to buy out the debt of nations, to merge it all out, to restructure it all out, to create a global enterprise. Where the nations are part of that enterprise, but not as nations of independent warring interests, but nations, one nation under, well, whether you believe in God or not, one nation under God, one nation under us, one nation under truth. And that's the important thing. Can we discover true truth together? Can we discover, well, the first thing you must ask is, can we achieve anything we want if we achieve a restructured order? Can we even possibly imagine, well, actually, the furthest thing you might get is the first thing. Can we imagine forgiving our enemies? Can we imagine declaring peace? Can we imagine giving up all of the past and our own grudges and vengeances for the one achievement, for peace, for our children, and for our prosperity? Or are we so hung up on the past that we can't move forward? Because if we can't, then there's no point in discussing this point of imagineering. But if enough of us can imagine here, and enough of us can influence, and perhaps it will take time that we do not have, we might achieve it. We might readily achieve it. It might be within our grasp. It actually may be quite easy.
That was easy.
It might be our only salvation. Because you see, I think you'll see, I might be wrong on this, but I think you're just covering it up. As long as you start going into a death spiral financial thing, and you see your eyes starts to go down, and you think it's back up, and then Europe and China, we're all in the same economy together. And you can't just move the button around and think that because you're moving your illusion around and something around the corner is going to get better, that it's going to get better. And it doesn't even matter, because it's a matter of, can it get really good? And you have no plan to make things bright beyond your wildest dreams. And I have described such a plan. And that plan needs 16, 17, and 19. The next 3 big things in history.
That was easy.